and welcome to this episode of Kennedy Saves the World. Joe Biden took back the letter. It's the strangest development in this crazy story. And he said, "From my cold, dead hands." Ha ha ha, bitches. Jimmy Fallon is here to make sense of the wildest 9 days anyone could have imagined in American political history.
Well, let's start with the obvious. I think it was nice for Kamala to sign the resignation letter for Joe. You know, knowing he has COVID.
Have you seen
Yes.
the comparison?
It is crazy. I don't mean to be that person. But
my tour manager boyfriend and I were sitting over coffee this morning looking at the last 6 executive orders that he signed. Looks very different from the signature on the resignation letter.
This looks like when I'm trying to write a note to a teacher on behalf of my parent to get out of some type of detention. They're like, wow, really interesting. Marianne put a heart over her eye in an official letter. Yeah, they underlined it. I saw the signature. It looks kind of fugazi. But no matter where we go with this, the most fugazi thing in the world is the factual. We just went from democracy is on the ballot to there's not even a ballot. Democracy is on its own. Okay, because they're just selecting their own thing.
You can't say no. We have to protect democracy by inserting a candidate who is inserted and foisted upon us after being a complete loser in 2020.
Yeah, the biggest loser.
That's not democracy.
But so there's so many angles to come at this from, but the one you just mentioned about her being a loser is my favorite because, as you know, okay, we're about to be called racist on a cartoon level, like to the point that the word is going to lose any and all meaning if it hasn't already, but to the point that we're going to be clamoring to be called racist. It's going to become funny. Like, do me, call me misogynist.
Well, no, racism is you can't criticize someone because of their race.
Yeah.
Like you're so worried that they're so weak that they cannot afford to be offended because it would be so destabilizing. That is racist.
Yeah, clearly. And when I already heard Mika Brzezinski doing this today, she goes, the Republicans are already starting in with the hate speech. They're calling her Kamala and not Kamala. I'm like, wait, if that distinction is triggering hate.
That's hate speech.
You can't lead the world.
Why did they take those two off the air? They're so good.
They seem
With
so
such
stable.
astute observations like that, Jim.
But they railroaded Biden, okay? The voter is not choosing the nominee because, as you know, she wouldn't be the choice. But I think one other thing I want to be on record stating in as many places as I can is every Democrat, high-level Democrat, the Newsoms of the world, the Whitmers of the world, they're rooting for Trump. They're going to endorse Kamala, but they're rooting for Trump.
All of them. And do you know why?
Yes.
Because they're not wasting this on a viable candidate. It's too short of a time. They don't have the ground game.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee that donors would donate money to Newsom or Whitmer or anyone else who won the open convention. So, and that's what they would have to do. They would have to take back the money if it didn't go to Harris. So they're all lining up behind her, and they're all hoping that she loses because Trump only has one term, guaranteed. So if she gets in, and for some reason it's just easier for an incumbent, she could conceivably have 8 years. That's the last thing the Democrat Party wants. That's the last thing that Newsom wants. So they want Newsom, Whitmer in 2028.
Oh, 1,000%. And
if they get the win, great. That's a bonus.
Yeah, but that's the issue.
That's like when your boobs get bigger when you're pregnant. Like you get a motorboat and you have a baby.
Now, some of us have been able to get their boobs bigger without the pregnancy. I don't mean to show off, but I'm trending in a better direction now.
That's that 5% Greek yogurt, Jim. Well done.
The 5%. The thing about Greek yogurt, though, it is funny. It's all no fat, but it's all sugar. But anyway, let's stay focused for a second.
Yeah. Speaking of sugar daddy, Willie Brown, where's he?
Hey, Willie. But where is Joe Biden? Where is he?
So Dana Perino had the best point last night. She was on, that they had to get everyone together. It was just in Milwaukee. Everyone's like, whoo, boy, it's been a wild ride. Can't wait to have a weekend off. Good thing nothing's happening this Sunday. So everyone has to come back to the studio. And Dana's like, I want to see proof of life.
Yeah.
She's like, I hope he's okay.
Yeah.
But can he at least hold up a newspaper? We didn't see him signing the letter. We didn't see him in the White House. Even if he were in little jammies and a pair of slippers, we'd be like, oh, we really love him. Oh, special guy.
But we're getting nothing. I forgive me for saying this, but I mean this. Because they were like, we're the most transparent administration in history. This administration thinks...
While they're wearing an iron robe.
Yeah. This administration thinks transparent is a man who has a baby. Okay, they have no idea.
I have a beard and a vagina.
Who knew?
Woo!
But how is this acceptable? Like, this is what I'm so mad at right now, okay? Because we don't have a collective focus anymore. Like, Trump got shot a week ago. Biden
literally 9 days ago.
Biden pulled out of the race yesterday. Okay, we haven't gotten anything from Biden that would ascertain that he's on board with this or that he's okay.
Yes.
We're certainly not getting accountability out of the Secret Service because they all yelled at her today, but they're probably on K Street at Cafe Milano right now drinking with her, or lobbyists or people who support her anyway. But the point is, the fact that we don't have a collective consciousness is hurting all of us as a people because we're accepting less than we deserve from our government.
Well, and I think that is the one thing that is the fickle winds of change actually blowing against Kamala Harris. Is people like, we've tried the DEI stuff.
Yeah.
We've tried the mass inclusivity. We've tried letting everyone out of prison. It hasn't gone entirely swimmingly.
Yeah.
So maybe we don't go in that direction.
Well, on that note, Kamala didn't personally try letting everyone out of prison. She tried keeping them in jail for 20 years if they smoked a joint. But I know what you mean about their overarching societal premise. But I agree with you that this is that administration with a new face, but the same policies.
Don't go anywhere. More Kennedy Saves the World right after this.
She's not going to come in and rip up the Biden doctrine.
No, it's going to be worse.
Yeah.
Like, she's going to be worse on Israel. She's going to be worse on... I don't think she has an understanding of economics and inflation. She's been horrible trying to explain those things. When she gets confused, she tries to oversimplify.
Yeah.
And she starts saying things like, so, Ukraine is a country in Europe. I mean, that's an exact quote from her.
That went on. No, that went on.
And like the significance of the passage of time.
When you think about it.
Yeah, and it's like...
There's so much significance.
And so I'm like, maybe she's Siddhartha.
Yeah.
Like, maybe she actually is like Buddha reincarnate.
Do you want to know who I am? And I mean this. Whenever I am so wholeheartedly convinced that someone is wrong, it actually forces me to tear down, almost like my belief system and give them like the benefit of the doubt in trying to reevaluate the possibility that maybe I just don't get it because I'm coming at this from the wrong dial on the combination lock. Maybe it's a 36 and I'm dialing 37, but there's no version of this where we wind up being wrong in our assessment of her. And there's a reason the Democrats felt the way they did. Like, they tried to warn us, okay? Yeah. She was polling at 1%, as you know, and dropped out in their primaries before the first, caucus, which was Iowa.
Yes.
Which is the equivalent of being the person who pukes on New Year's Eve before the ball drops. That happens.
Yeah, that's a person who pukes on New Year's Eve during the appetizer.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Anyway, the point being, okay, is that the Democrats don't believe to a person that she's qualified to run the country. But they do believe she was attached to a significant amount of money.
That's it.
And they need a united front from here.
Yeah, if they could give anyone else the money, they would. They would have the open primary. And it's not like, they're not going to have the open convention now because they think she'd be really, really mad. She is the only one attached to that money.
Thank you. But let's add one more thing, okay? Everybody who forced Biden out of the race, who is now praising him for putting country ahead of self, he wanted nothing to do with putting country ahead of self. You don't understand?
Oh, he didn't care if he tanked every race down ballot. He didn't care. He's like, I'm not going to be alive to see the fallout from this nonsense. I just want to be president for 4 more years.
And that was that. And until he was forced out, like the donors took the checkbooks, the elite, everybody... He did not voluntarily quit this race. And I think the truth is, that's one of the reasons we haven't seen him, is he's probably still not emotionally on board with this.
Yeah.
And they probably had a pre-drafted letter, judging by the hasty way it was signed. And the minute they got a yes out of him, they were probably like, now listen, we don't want to bother you with this again in an hour. Let's just sign it here. We'll get out of your way so you can just go be. And that was that.
Just go die of COVID.
And away you go.
I mean, it's awful that people would think that way in his bubble. But the fact that everyone who worked in the White House, that they didn't gather everyone together and say, we love you guys so much. You are our family. We're going to tell you this before it goes public. But, our president is our incredible president, the best in modern history, is resigning after doing such an amazing job.
Think about
They did not give them the dignity of a heads up before this went. So they're reading it on their phones thinking it's fake, just like I did when we were driving yesterday.
Thank you. A president who was born in the era of a rotary phone just dumped his staff via text. That's what went on. Think about that.
He's the Rory McIlroy
via text
of lame duck presidents.
At least throw on an accent for us, Joe. Unbelievable, man.
No, it's I don't know what we do to top this, and I'm kind of scared to find out.
That's the other issue. Can I give you one selfish concern?
Please.
Okay. In my Truman Show version of events, 30 minutes before I went on stage in Colorado Springs, Trump got shot. Yesterday, I was doing a private event in Buffalo. 30 minutes before I went on stage, Biden resigned.
Maybe take a few weeks off, Jim.
I'm in Biloxi, Mississippi this Friday night. You can just assume Kamala's VP pick is getting announced at 6:30 Friday night or whatever time it is.
Who do you think she picks? I mean, does she pick Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania?
It's a funny throwaway line. John King on CNN goes, well, there's some risk in putting him on the ticket because he's Jewish. I was like, wait, what? But what he's speaking to in the process is that
Michigan.
Yeah, Michigan.
Yeah, they're
is
worried
that Dearborn,
about
Michigan is like, wait, what?
Yeah, about losing the Muslim vote in Michigan. And you know, it's like, that's our politics. That's a Democrat Party.
That's the party of inclusion and diversity and wonderful intolerance. But I think it's going to be somebody who clearly has no upward mobility 4 years from now. So I think she's got to go with
Jim Clyburn.
Yeah.
Literally no upward mobility at all whatsoever.
He has no mobility of any kind. But Clyburn's one of those dudes, though, that is like a dude that was on TV Friday night doing like 9 p.m. hits, like, Joe Biden's the smartest man who ever lived. He's going to do 8 more years.
Yeah.
And then Saturday, same thing. And then Sunday, he's like, I've been talking to the president for weeks. And he gets away with it.
He's been doing one-arm push-ups and the Rose Garden.
Jim Clyburn covers Biden the way Ronnie Jackson covers Trump. You know, I've told you this. Ronnie Jackson's like, Jimmy, you don't understand. Donald Trump outran a train. I'm like, Ronnie, that's the plot of Superman 1. No, things was going bad. He flew around the world twice.
And Ronnie Jackson was on TV going, I put that big white bandage on him.
Yeah.
Like, okay. I was at the RNC. I was with the Arizona delegation. They were all like slowly. It was like a contagion. More of them were putting the white bandage on. And I saw one woman wipe her tears with it.
I love that. Well, there's no bandage big enough to cover our mess of a democracy right now.
Well, Mamala has a big enough heart that she can nurse us all back to health.
I believe it was Lincoln Fela who said the only people that are going to vote for her are furries. And I think that she's got the furry vote.
She does.
So,
Jim, thank you so much.
The best.
I can't wait to see what happens Wednesday. Jimmy's going to be on stage. Where's your show?
Oh, Biloxi. We're in Biloxi. It's Friday night, the 26th. That's when it is. The IP Casino. Kamala will announce her VP.
Yeah, IP
30
freely.
minutes before showtime.
Biloxi Blues. Go ahead and see Jimmy Fela. This has been Kennedy Saves the World, along with Big Jim Fela.
Listen ad-free with a Fox News Podcast Plus subscription on Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Prime members can listen to this show ad-free on the Amazon Music app.
Oh, go ahead and leave me a review while you're there. I'd love to hear what you have to say. You've been listening to Kennedy Saves the World on the Fox News Podcast Network.